Hi, my name is Tisha, and I investigate the paranormal. I also research a lot of the historical things that have happened here in New England. And right now we're doing the King Phillips War from start to finish. So hopefully you'll want to tag along and come on this fun adventure with us. It's been really cool kind of going back through time and seeing where everything really happened. You can follow along with this journey of King Phillips War. So we are now in Swansea, Massachusetts, and I'll show you a look around right now. I'm not going to point at people's homes because it's literally around a residential neighborhood. This is the Mocker here in Swansea. So what happened was, which I will bring you guys later, because beyond this woods line here, there is water, and there was also a bridge that used to run across the water. Now, the village that was obviously very nearby here, as we were talking about in the last clip in the Indian burial cemetery, it was right on the water, and so we all knew that when there were Native Americans on the water, we knew their villages were not far off from that. So this village that is nearby this marker, all of the homes were attacked. They all fled to the Garrison home. Now this marker represents where the Garrison home would have stood. Now a Garrison home is where everybody ran to basically to stay safe. This is where the first battle would occur. It is where the militia attempted to disperse the Wampanoag who were firing on the opposite side of the river. Again, like I said, would be back there, and there was a bridge, so you could picture the Indians on one side of the river, and then you could see the opposing side on the opposite side of the river getting ready to fight. So here 8 were killed, and they came back in a vengeance with more men, and this time they succeeded in dispersing them. So this plaque reads, as we come here, the First Baptist Church in Massachusetts was founded near this spot. Reverend John Miles. Now this First Baptist Church, was burned to the ground, and not only was it the First Baptist Church here, but it was the First Baptist Church in Massachusetts in its entirety. And this next monument is known as King's Rock in Swansea, Massachusetts, and they used it to crush corn into cornmeal. So we just left the first area of the First Baptist Church that I showed you, and so when they were attacking, what the people would do would run to these garrison houses for shelter. So this garrison house is about 4 minutes away from here. You have to remember, back then, Swansea wasn't Swansea, Rehoboth wasn't Rehoboth, and so on and so on. So I'm going to take you on like a 4-minute drive, and then we are going to go to the location of where the Garrison meeting house was.
Okay, so we're on the way to Hugh Cole. He was one of the settlers in Swansea. I think he was the guy that founded New Swansea in 1667. So he was really good friends with the Wampanoags, and he was warned that they were going to attack Swansea. And he took his family and went to Portsmouth, Rhode Island during the war. Then he came back, and then he rebuilt and settled over here. And all that remains left of his settlement is a well. We're kind of like on the way to go look at it. Don't know where it is, but it's supposedly at the end of this bike path in Warren, Rhode Island.
guys gotta remember, tracking this war is actually quite the project. I didn't think it would be this much research and work, but it is, because places aren't where they were before. Like Swansea wasn't Swansea, and
Swansea was
Providence just got like Providence was made into Providence. Yeah, during the King Phillips War, Providence was actually founded. So you can see how it gets a little bit twisted along also with my storyline. As I said, there's a lot of things that happen in between the King Philip War that I might not mention or may not go to, because I'm not that it's impossible to get to everything, but it's a lot of work. So I do encourage you to do your research, because a lot of things happened along the way.
And when you look up like things, even though this states it's Swansea, it wasn't Swansea. It's not Swansea now. It was Swansea then, but not now.
Can get a little bit confusing,
so
guys.
Like we're looking for streets that are quote unquote in Swansea, because that's what the historical people talk about, but it's not really in Swansea. It was in like Warren, Rhode Island, or God knows where. So yeah.
So let's go check out this well.
We'll see if we can find it.
If we can find it. We're walking along and I'm like, hey, look at this little bench. Take my photo over here, and this is actually the marker.
This is the well.
So this was where the well was.
Obviously filled in. This is it. There's the plaque.
Let's check out the plaque. In memory of Hugh Cole, born London, England, 1627, died Swansea, Mass, 1699. He was a sergeant in King Philip's War, 1675, an esteemed friend of King Philip, from whom he purchased his claim in 1669. This tablet erected by his descendants in 1970, 1917, beside the well excavated in 1677, upon his home farm, which has always remained in possession of his family until given by Miss Abby Cole to the town of Warren, Rhode Island. It's really cool just doing this story, because you're walking through a part of history, and you know that battles probably happened all along the way you're walking, and I mean, they could be like arrowheads and things. It's so cool to me.
It says he died in Swansea.
Yeah.
But not really, because it's now Warren, Rhode Island.
Yeah, exactly what we were talking about. So there was also a capture site in Halifax. This was from before the war, but still hold great importance. You see, Josiah Winslow wanted to make a treaty with Wamsutta, so he captured him there, so they could sit down and make new arrangements. Wamsutta set away to Mount Hope, but unfortunately he fell fatally ill and passed on. Everyone has their own version of the story, because yes, sometimes even historians don't agree. And one story goes that there was poison in the meal Winslow fed to Wamsutta before he left by canoe. There is now a plaque there that includes that this incident precipitated the King Phillips War. So now we are in a sonnet, and we are looking for the John Tisdale grave site. It's very difficult doing this research because things are just not where they used to be. So there's a lot of exploring.
Yeah, so this is Freetown. We're in Freetown, Berkeley line. So supposedly this was Taunton back then, and I guess the attack on Taunton during the King Phillips War, his house, John Tisdale, he was killed. 2 other people were killed. They burned his house down and 2 other houses. And I don't know. So we're looking for this cemetery.
Was there a trail going the other way too?
Yeah.
We have found it.
Oh wow.
The gun was retaken at Rehoboth on August 1st, 1675. It was found with the body of an Indian who was slain there, and then the gun was later used as evidence in court.
So we're assuming that this is the homestead of John Tisdale Sr., and this is where I guess the attack would have been, because
the water is probably where from here?
Right there.
The water is like back there.
Right there, Sonnet Bay and all that stuff.
So it depending on how much land he owned, because obviously this is part of his land, so the house has to be somewhere nearby. So it's crazy because this is not only a cemetery, obviously, but it's crazy that 3 men were slain in this exact area that I'm standing in right now. The Native Americans here in New England lived and thrived in harmony throughout Rhode Island and Massachusetts. They lived according to season and were healthy in all of Mother Earth and all that she had to offer. So we're walking up on the site. This is in South Dartmouth right now. We're in the Paden area, and this is where an attack on the Russell Garrison happened. It was August of 1675, and there were 30 homes that were burned and destroyed here. So the people had to make their way into the home until the attack ended, which was a Garrison home. This is the sign. I'll read it real quick. Thousands of years before any English settlement, this area known as Apponeganset, my husband corrected me, sorry, was home to Native Americans, later known as the Pokanoket Wampanoag. About 1664, English colonist John Russell, a planter and the first Dartmouth representative to the General Court at Plymouth, settled here, built his homestead for his family, and lived in peace with the local natives on this site for more than 11 years. Remnants of the foundation are all that remains here of that home. And I'll take a photo so you guys can read the rest if you'd like to. So these are the remains, which is crazy. So you have to picture now the water is back there. And so this is the area right here surrounding it where the 30 homes were burned and destroyed. As you can see, there's a house, so I'm trying not to film it for their privacy, but this is in a complete residential neighborhood now. And this is the marker, the Russell Garrison, a place of refuge for the early settlers of Dartmouth during the King Phillips War, 1675 to 1676. Restored by the Old Dartmouth Historical Society in 1951. So it's pretty cool. Look at that. That's like the steps. Oh, that goes into the house.
I think about it all.
Look at how small the frame is.
That's what I'm saying.
Wow. You guys can see, like, it's a residential neighborhood. It's just crazy when you're doing this research, like I told you again, because you have to just picture this with no houses here. This, like, site is just in the middle of this neighborhood now.